What is going on, everyone? It is your boy CJR Sports, and today we're gonna be doing something kind of new. So, if you ever read my description and my YouTube, or follow me on Twitter if that's what you came from, I am a massive New York Giants fan, and ever since I started doing anything social media related, if that was writing, podcasting, on radio shows, I always just wanted to talk about the Giants. And so when I decided to, start up this YouTube channel, I don't care how many views it does, I just want to be able to talk about the New York Giants. And so, every day, every other day, I want to bring up some of the news that happened and other like stuff, just talking points, stuff like who's going to start at left guard and your opinion, my opinion, everything like that. So it's going to be just like, if you want to consider a podcast, sure. Consider it a YouTube video, sure. Consider it to be like a little show, sure. That's all your guys' opinions. But I just want to be able to talk about the New York Football Giants. That my favorite team by far. Nothing comes close in any other sport. I am a diehard. I got pictures on my wall, autographs, down to my car having stickers and my car keys, lanyard, backpacks, hats, shirts, everything New York Giants that I wear or that I own. Hell, my screensaver on my computer is the New York Giants, so I am a massive New York Giants fan. But we have a few topics here, players that I think that could get signed to the Giants. Who would you pick? Who do you think's going to start? Players I want to talk about, that are underrated, overrated, and just stuff that's been talked around in the NFL and or ESPN, whatever has been talked around from the New York Giants. So the first thing I want to start off is with, if you want to call him an insider, analyst, fantasy football guru, but Mike Clay went on Twitter the other day and just threw out this random trade. And usually in the, in pro sports, or, especially for football, there's always, draft capital, or always for draft capital for trades. But this is a straight player for player trade that you don't see very often. It is for Darius Slayton going to the Miami Dolphins. Exchange, the New York Giants will receive running back Myles Gaskins. And so that kind of threw me off guard at first. I immediately thought the Giants would win this trade, because if you can go back to my later tweets, I am a Darius Slayton hater. I do not like Darius Slayton, even from his rookie season when people are calling him wide receiver 1. I could not stand it. I do not like Darius Slayton. I coach high school football. His route running, not very good, and he has even worse hands. Route running, yeah, it's very important getting separation, but if you can't even catch a football, like the guy can't even catch a cold, for crying out loud, he has a drop issue. And as a receiver, as a 6'3" body that's going to be playing on the outside, you need to be able to catch the football, and he just does not do that. So immediately I thought, if the Giants can get rid of Darius Slayton and not even have to put him on the field anymore, like just go get rid of him, like you don't have to play him anymore. Dayball and Joe Shane don't have any connection to him. They can trade him, acquire a running back, which is needed. We need running back depth. Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell are really the only ones that are going to be probably making the roster. Platzgummer's not going to be, making the roster anytime soon. And we have, I wouldn't say an influx of receivers, but I think we have 4 quality starters in, Galladay, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, and Wan'Dale Robinson. I think we have 4 quality starters that can play. And then if we need to be able to sign, another player, another receiver, if not, I do think we have a void at tight end. But that's a discussion for another video that I already have planned out. If are the Giants going to do anything else in the in the tight end room? But right now, we're talking about the trade. I think the Giants win just to get Darius Slayton out of the building. We won't be forced to play him, because if you look at it, his rookie season was great. Sorry, wasn't great. It was good. We thought there was upside. He wasn't even a 1,000-yard receiver. during his rookie year, and we all thought he was going to have this monster breakout, and it never happened. It never showed. From what happened from his rookie, I remember during the rookie season when they were in rookie mini camp and training camp, they were talking about his drop issues. I mean, that was a topic of conversation, was his drop issues. And so I feel like if we can just get him out of the building, I know a lot of the Giants players like him. I know he's a great guy, but he's not even running with the ones right now. He's on the trade block. He's been reported being on the trade block from multiple Giant sources. And I think Myles Gaskins is a good running back. He was a starter at one point in his career for the Dolphins in 2020 season. Played pretty well. Do the Dolphins take a shot with their running back room? Sure, but I don't care. But the one thing I'll tell you about Darius Slayton, and he will not be the number one receiver in Miami, and we all know this with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle being there, but he's a big body presence, and that's what they need. I mean, in a goal line, you put Darius Slayton on one side, Mike Gesicki, the other side. You can put, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the middle, in the slots, and you're gonna get one-on-one coverage with them on a corner that could be 5'10", 5'11", with Darius Slayton 6'3", 6'4". So, I mean, if there's one thing that Darius Slayton could bring to the Dolphins, it could be that, red zone target that they desperately need. And if you think that they're going to have to score a lot of touchdowns, which, I do, then sure, he could be a great addition to that offense. Doesn't have to do a whole lot. But the one thing that the Dolphins like to do is they kind of like to run the ball and, stay in between the tackles. A lot of short passes for Tua. And that has to complement with a nice run game. Do I think this trade happens? No. Could it happen? Could it happen? Sure, anything's possible. This offseason has been the craziest thing I've ever seen. So, I wouldn't be shocked. But I think at the end of the day, I think Darius Slayton will be a Giant for at least one more year. He will not be on the roster next year. That is my prediction. I don't think Myles Gaskins is going to be on the Dolphins next year. So, I think there's two positives if you want to say that right there. But moving on, I do think it benefits both teams. I personally, I would love if Darius Slayton's off the team, so I would take Gaskins. But I think Darius Slayton will produce more with the Miami Dolphins than the Giants will produce Gaskins if Saquon stays healthy. That there's just an asterisk right there, if. But moving on to our next topic, L.J. Fort, former linebacker of the Baltimore Ravens. There's been reports and everyone speculating that he's going to come over to the New York Giants. He was a Wink Martindale type of player and signee and fits the, Wink Martindale scheme. We are depleted in the linebacker room. We drafted a few linebackers, Tay Crowder and Blake Martinez. We don't know how Blake's going to play with his, ACL tear. So getting LJ Fort, a veteran with him and Blake, can kind of show him the ropes and everything, Blake being the, the best option, but LJ to be able to, have the kind of show them what Wink is wanting to do in the scheme. I don't hate the signing, and you can never have too many linebackers, especially in a scheme where you kind of run like a 3-4. You're the majority. You don't really run a 4-2 as much. The Giants are a big 3-4 team. There's a once in a while when they run like a 4-2-5, but they kind of want to stop the run first. And LJ, well, that was with Pat Graham, which we don't know what they're going to do with Wink Martindale. I know Wink's a big man-to-man blitz, type of guy that has a lot of trust in his safeties. So, I hope that the Giants do actually sign LJ Fort. I think he'll be a great addition to the team to be able to help and move players and the linebackers in the right position and kind of help some of the terminology that it's going to happen in Wink Martindale's defensive scheme. So, one player that everyone thinks is going to be signed to the Giants, I truly hope he is a New York Giant before training camp. So there's been a few, if you want to say, overrated, underrated players, like people talking about who's going to be overrated and who's going to be underrated, or like who's overpaid and who's overlooked on the who's underlooked on the who's overlooked on the Giants. And you know so Kenny Galladay, according to Bleacher Report, has been named the most overvalued player on the New York Giants. It's definitely a toss up. You could say Kenny Galladay. He was an absolute animal from the Detroit Lions, and he came over, and he just didn't have the chemistry that him and Stafford did, and so we knew that was gonna take time, and he was coming over. The biggest concern was his injury history and him having like really bad hamstrings, and the first thing that went on him was his hamstrings, back in training camp. So it's unfortunate that him being very injury riddled kind of hurts the Giants. I can if you would have said Saquon, I would have not really disagreed. Him being the second overall pick in that draft, and him being as injured, has he been for the first 4 years of his career. I wouldn't have disagreed either. Kenny Galladay getting paid almost $20 million a year for being a New York Giant, I think is half the reason why he's being overvalued. But after this year, he has no more guaranteed money besides a very small amount. So that's what when I was talking about Darius Slayton, he could not. Kenny Galladay has a potential chance not being on the team next year. So it just really depends with his performance this year under Brian Daboll. And a player that was named the most underrated on the New York Giants, which Giants fans, Giants Twitter, we absolutely adore him. Absolutely adore him. Everyone talks about that, there was the four main tackles in that draft class, and the Giants apparently got the worst one at 4. Andrew Thomas, from according to Football Outsiders, has been named the most underrated player on the New York Giants, and what's wild to me is Mekhi Becton has been very injured. Jedrick Wills, besides his rookie year, has not performed since his rookie year. And Tristan Wirfs is an animal. The only player I would have taken over him during that pick is Tristan Wirfs. And so you got the second best tackle in that draft class as played so far. You can't be more happy. The Bucks traded up from, I think, 12 to 11 or 11 to 10 or something like that. I forgot what happened. But they end up getting Tristan Wirfs, who fell. Which, it's okay. That's going to happen. If Kayvon Thibodeau is the 4th best pass rusher on that draft class, I'm still satisfied. Because, if Trayvon Walker's good, Aiden Hutchinson's good, and let's go Jermaine Johnson. If Kayvon Thibodeau gets me 10 plus sacks this season, I'm satisfied. I would like 10, 15, but if he gets me 10 plus sacks, I'm satisfied. So I don't like to try to compare what the Giants did, what the Giants did versus what they could have had, because every season is going to be different. But the last 2 seasons, Andrew Thomas has been consistently better, has been getting way better, and then you add Evan Neal on the other side of the offensive line, and now you really have a half decent offensive line. You went after the tackle, you got your 2 franchise tackles that are going to work with each other, and Andrew Thomas now looks like he can be a Pro Bowler, all pro on the other side of Evan Neal, and you really give yourself a chance to build from, the O-line and, from the trenches up. And that's what the Giants need. They have weapons. Shep, Galladay, Tony Wandell, and still Slayton at this point. You have weapons. Saquon in the back. You have weapons. Now, you're able to protect Daniel Jones and have him make the reads that he needs to do, make. It helps your team way better. So, building from the line up, Andrew Thomas is easily our best offensive lineman right now because Evan Neal hasn't played. Evan Neal could be the best offensive tackle in the league. People are still saying that, really. So, but Andrew Thomas is the most underrated player on the Giants, and Kenny Golladay is the most overvalued or slash overrated player on the New York Giants. So I got two things really. The left guard position for the New York Giants is still way up in the air. I mean, it could be veteran Matt Garcia's. It could be third-year player Shane Lemieux. And it could be rookie Josh Azudu's. We don't know. We have no idea. We really won't find out until training camp. And the one thing that really irritated me last year with the New York Giants is we would rotate players in and out of the offensive line. Why is that an issue? Because when a player starts getting into a groove, it's like Matt Pert. It's gonna take him a couple of series to get his feet under him when he hasn't played all game. Maybe this defensive tackle or pass rusher is really, really irritating this offensive line, and then you put like a tackle or guard in there, and they get blown up first play because they're not like ready for it. They're not, So I think having Shane Lemieux, I mean, you gotta remember John Feliciano and and John Feliciano, he hasn't played with any of these guys. So, there is no like relationship or connection to either one of these three. None. So, like, you don't really have to worry about that, but, like, I would like them to make a decision soon so they can build up that chemistry, they can build up that relationship, so there's a uncalled or, blitz coming, that's my man, like, just that, they know what to do without even talking or speaking or looking at each other, like, they just know what they have to get done because they trust the man next to him. That's all I'm looking for at the offensive line. And so, I mean, we know our center, we know our tackles, we know our right guard. We're just looking for that left guard. So, personally, I think it should be either Matt Garcia or Shane Lemieux. Personally, I'd rather take Matt Garcia. You got two young tackles. You got a guard who you signed for 3 years, and you got a center who you only have for 1 year, potentially maybe another year or two, if you want to extend him. You can try Shane Lemieux at center. You can try Josh Azudu on right, a guard or center. You can kind of change him up a little bit. But I want them to be able to make a decision and stay with that decision and not in the middle of games like throw guards out there and be like, oh, Shane Lemieux's getting blown up. Let's put Azudu in there or put Garcia in there. Make a decision. I prefer the veteran. If you think that the Giants can win this year, put Max Garcia, the veteran who only gave up 5 sacks last year, which, I mean, compared to Will Hernandez, is not that bad. Seriously. So give me Matt Garcia, put him in there, and boom, you have a complete offensive line who can go in there and you're comfortable week to week. I haven't felt like that since like 2015, going into a game week to week with a half decent offensive line. But that's my opinion. I think Matt Garcia. Let me know down in the comments who you would prefer, or hit me up on Twitter. Shane Lemieux, Josh Azudu, or Max Garcia. Let me know. And the last topic I want to talk about is if there's a player that is completely healthy, and you can only pick one from these 5, Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, or Saquon Barkley, who are you picking to build around? That is completely healthy. Who are you picking to build around? I'm going to give you my answer. It may not be the most popular answer, or it is. I don't know. But I'm going to say Kadarius Toney. Why? We've tried to build around Saquon Barkley, and it hasn't worked. We tried to build around this running back who statistically in 2018 was the Rookie of the Year, and he had a 2,000 season. I mean, he was fantastic, but we didn't win many games. The games where Kadarius Toney was able to participate was the games that he was able to go in there and contribute last year were games that, the Saints was a big game. We beat the Saints. Dallas, we were on Dallas's butt the entire game until Daniel Jones got hurt. We kind of go down the list, and Kadarius Toney can be an absolute game changer. I'm not saying Kadarius Toney is a better player than Saquon Barkley, but I think it's easier to build around a receiver than it is a running back. And if you really kind of go down the teams that are trying to build around a running back, Tennessee, they just lost their two best receivers. And you get Robert Woods and Treylon Burks, which we don't know how Treylon Burks is going to be, but kind of what Robert Woods, and he's coming off an ACL. And Derrick Henry just got hurt. So he's starting to get wear and tear. Receivers, they can last and very good until 30, 31, 32. Look at Thielen. D-Hop's getting up there in age. Devontae Adams is 29. Some of these receivers that you wouldn't think, their prime is not 26, 27 anymore. Their prime is becoming 28, 29, 30 at this point now too. Still being in their prime. As a running back, your prime is 23, 24, 25, 26, and after really 26, that's when they kind of ship you off, or they try to get someone else there to replace you. So I would prefer Kadarius Toney just from what I saw last year when he was fully healthy and on the field. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I could talk about the Giants for hours, and once the season gets on and training camp gets going and there's final cuts and preseason and maybe a trade or two, I cannot wait to be able to talk about the Giants. If it's every day, every other day, if there's stuff that's able to talk about, I will. If it could be a 6-minute video, it could be a 2-hour video. I don't care. I could sit and talk about the Giants, and hopefully I can have people on to sit down and we can all talk about the Giants. That is the goal. But 2 things to remember. Let me know who you want starting at left guard. And if there's one player, one of the big playmakers on the New York Giants, fully healthy and you can build around him, who would you build around? Let me know down in the comments. Or let me know on Twitter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Comment your answers down below. Follow me on Twitter. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitter. I would love talking Giants or anything football with you guys. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, and want to see more fantasy football content, game film breakdowns, Giants videos, if it's just daily breaking football news videos, subscribe and click the notification button. But it's your boy CGI Sports, and I'm out. Peace, guys.